Britain's new leader Rishi Sunak has faced his first Prime Minister's question session in Parliament. It's his first full day on the job, and Mr Sunak is already facing criticism for reappointing Suella Braverman as Home Secretary.
Mr Speaker, yesterday the Prime Minister stood on the steps of Downing Street and promised integrity, professionalism and accountability. But then, with his first act, he appointed a Home Secretary who was sacked by his predecessor a week ago for deliberately pinging around sensitive Home Office documents from her personal account. And I know firsthand how important it is that we have a Home Secretary whose integrity and professionalism are beyond question. So, have officials raised concerns about his decision to appoint her?
The Home Secretary made an error of judgment, but she recognised that. She raised the matter and she accepted her mistake. And that's why I was delighted to welcome back into a united cabinet that brings experience and stability to the heart of government.
We can all see what's happened here. He's so weak, he's done a grubby deal, creating national security because he was scared to lose another leadership election. There's a new Tory at the top, but as always with them, party first, country second.
And Ollie Barrett joins us live from London. Ollie, we just heard Keir Starmer there saying he's so weak, he's done a grubby deal. So, fiery debate from the opposition leader, even in this first Parliament question session. How did Rishi Sunak fare?
It was a lively exchange between the two leaders for the first time at PMQs for Rishi Sunak, and I think many Conservative MPs are delighted with the way he performed. At the same time, it is clear that some of the attack lines from the Labour Party are going to be potentially problematic for Rishi Sunak. We heard Keir Starmer there focusing on that appointment of Suella Braverman and that question from him about whether officials had raised concerns, security concerns perhaps, about the reappointment of the Home Secretary was not a question that Rishi Sunak actually responded directly to, and therefore is going to be a question that is going to be repeated towards government figures until an answer is forthcoming. We also heard Keir Starmer accusing him of being weak, of putting party before country. We know that the opposition parties are going to continue to call for a general election. Rishi Sunak tried to push back against that principle, that idea on a number of occasions. We know that the opposition parties are also going to try and keep the focus on Rishi Sunak's great wealth at a time of economic crisis when many other households up and down the country are struggling with their finances. But it was a rather different affair from the PMQs exchanges we've seen between Keir Starmer and Liz Truss, and before that between Keir Starmer and Boris Johnson. It certainly felt like Rishi Sunak and his team had a prepared response to almost every attack line that came their way. I think there is something for both of the main parties in these first exchanges to give them some optimism about the future, but also to give them some concerns as well.
Ollie, also that eagerly awaited crunch budget plan due end of October. Now that has been put back by 2 weeks. Is this postponement going to be costing the administration under Rishi Sunak? Is it going to be costing them any kind of political capital?
It could work both ways, this, actually. One of the reasons that the date was initially brought forward to October the 31st by the Liz Truss administration was that the financial markets were spooked at that point, really anxious about the detail that the government had provided, or lack of it, on its overall fiscal plans so far. And crucially, because the Bank of England Monetary Policy Committee next meets on November the 3rd, and the thinking was that you needed to get out ahead of that meeting, set out some of that further detail on things like spending plans and tax plans, because otherwise the bank might feel it had to raise interest rates by a larger amount than expected to see off some of the inflationary pressures. The thinking here is that actually markets have calmed down just by dint of having Jeremy Hunt in the role of finance minister and now Rishi Sunak there as prime minister as well, the government feels that gives them some breathing space. The other side of the argument is that actually, if you push the date back a little bit, the Office for Budget Responsibility, which does a lot of these forecasts, has more time to put numbers together. UK borrowing costs on international markets appear to be coming down, so that might actually give the government a bit more breathing space on things like spending cut decisions. There are arguments in both directions here. The government will feel that giving itself a little bit more time also allows the new Prime Minister to get a bit more involved in the plans that are already taking shape.
Thanks to Ollie Barrett reporting to us there from London.